Many people say that in this life, everything is about who you are. A few months ago, some strange events happened to me, so I decided to find out who I really am. So I started something like a diary after a close friend suggested it, with the intention of understanding what was really happening to me. As I remember myself as a person, I am someone who wants it all, to be successful, with money, prestige, etc., and I have achieved it. At 33, I managed to have a successful company in the technology sector, which allows me to live the life I like. Many would describe me as arrogant, conceited, a bad person, but I really don't give a damn. Maybe I am. The thing is, I can do whatever I like, and I have everything I want. Expensive house, cars, trips, chicks. Yes, chicks. Here you would describe me as what they call a vulture, and I enjoy it. In short, I am the type that many would envy. I enjoyed my life to the fullest. A few months ago, I turned 33. This is where things started to take a strange turn. For some reason, I felt that my 33rd birthday would be a pivotal point in my life. And this is how I wanted to celebrate it, as wildly as I could. It would be a gift to myself. I booked one of the most famous clubs in Ibiza for the party, which was really crazy. It had everything. When we say everything, everything. It lasted until dawn. Then I fell asleep tired, and I got up at 5 in the afternoon. But I didn't wake up well, and it wasn't the hangover that was to blame. I was woken up by a nightmare, and I had a sharp pain, like a burning sensation, in my right shoulder blade. Girls who were sleeping with me told me that I was talking in my sleep. They tried to calm me down, but I really was a mess, and I was alone. I got up and looked for someone to help me with the pain. The pain in my shoulder blade wouldn't go away. I assumed I had hit something, sometime at my party, and the truth was that I didn't remember a lot of the things I did that night. I tried to remember, but the images that came to my mind were completely unrelated to last night. Basically, they had nothing to do with me. I saw a lake, a woman talking to me, a bang and a flash, and then darkness. I tried to ignore it all. I put it down to the crap I had taken the night before. The days passed, but the pain in my right shoulder blade wouldn't go away, and the nightmares wouldn't stop. I had trouble sleeping, and most of the time I woke up in the middle of the night screaming. I had lost my peace, and all the girls I slept with said the same thing, that I was chatting, but the voice I made was different, as if I was someone else. All of this had affected my work, my sex life, and in general, the situation was unbearable. So I decided to get a series of tests, hoping to find what the hell was wrong with me. I went to one of the best orthopedic surgeons for shoulder blade pain. I told him that I felt a sharp pain and burning. At first glance, he said that he didn't see anything, but he recommended that I get an MRI to see the cause of the problem. I had it done, but like the other tests, they didn't show anything. They were all normal. I went to all the doctors, and I couldn't get an answer as to what could be causing this pain. The result was that I was fucked up, taking heavy painkillers, almost addicted to them, and the pain persisted. So did the nightmares, the strange dreams I was having. I discussed all this with a psychologist friend of mine, and he said,
Jim, all this dreaming you're having could be due to many reasons. We'll look into it. What I want from you is not to worry.
What not to worry about? I felt like cursing.
Well, the first step we're going to take is for you to go to a sleep clinic. It's nothing. You'll go there for one night and sleep. There they will record everything that happens in your brain during sleep.
Indeed, I went. They put something like a cap on my head with wires. They told me it was something like an EEG. They also gave me a sedative, and I managed to sleep. The morning I woke up, I saw the doctors were concerned. What they told me really didn't help me at all. Quite the opposite. The EEG didn't record anything. I told them that I was dreaming the same nightmare again, the strange images I was seeing, and they told me that they didn't record anything. In fact, what the test showed was that I wasn't even in the REM phase, the state where we start dreaming. But it was as if I hadn't slept at all, as if I had been awake at all during the night, and that's why I feel exhausted and tired all the time. It's like not sleeping, the doctor told me.
A very rare phenomenon. Your brain basically never rests. And I'm sorry to say this, it can lead to serious conditions in your body. We'll need to do more tests. For now, we'll treat it with sleeping pills.
I felt like my body was cursing. And no matter how many tests I did, I didn't see any light. No improvement. The only person who was anything like a comfort to me was my friend, the psychologist, Steve. He was the only person I could talk to freely. And he, in turn, tried to figure out what was happening to me.
Well, listen to what you're going to do.
He said to me,
You're going to start recording the dreams you see as soon as you wake up. You're going to have a notebook next to you, and you're going to try to write down what you saw in every detail. You will also put a tape recorder next to you so we can listen to what you say in your sleep, and then I will tell you what we will do.
With nothing to lose, I followed my friend's instructions. I took my sleeping pill, set the tape recorder to record, and fell asleep. As usual, I woke up drenched in sweat and with a sharp pain in my shoulder blade, killing me. I immediately took the notebook I had next to me and began to write down everything I had seen, all the scattered images I was seeing, various women, a house, another pregnant woman shouting at me intensely, a statue, a square with peacocks, a place like a basement with various strange symbols, a lake, and finally standing in a place like a dam and succeeding in the woman I had seen earlier, and at the end, a bang and a flash, and then darkness. It was as if I was seeing someone else's life, as if I was living it through their eyes. When I finished writing, I put on the tape recorder to listen to what the tape recorder had recorded. I heard a voice, but it wasn't mine, and it was shouting,
Helen, you have something inside you that I need.
I immediately found my friend, the psychologist. I showed him that I had recorded the notebook, and we listened to the recording together. He was stunned. He told me that he had a theory about all that was happening to me, but first he wanted us to try something.
I want to hypnotize you, and then I'll tell you about my theory.
He said. He started hypnotizing me, and I was sinking. It was like I was traveling to another time, until I got lost. Then I woke up again in a panic.
Calm down.
Steve told me.
Well, listen, what I'm going to tell you will sound extreme. First of all, I probably know the reason why your right shoulder blade hurts. During the hypnosis, I recorded the same incidents that you see in your dreams, but in more detail. The life that you see, I think, comes 33 years back. You see a guy who lives in a city in England, who lives a restless life. You have money, you like horse riding, walking, nature in general. You described a strange, dark, scary place, I would say. You're probably married and expecting a child. And here, Jim, you will be shocked. The guy is killed by his wife after a heated argument with a bullet that penetrates his right shoulder blade.
After pausing, he asked me,
What have you heard about reincarnation?
I looked at him like an idiot. What nonsense are you talking about?
Listen to me. Everything you are experiencing is memories of a life you lived about 60 years ago. Specifically, if I am correct, you died at the age of 33. And now you, who turned 33 for some reason that I cannot explain, have gained access to your previous life.
As incredible as all this sounded to me, it made some sense.
Jim, here we are facing something big. You are great proof of what is called reincarnation. You understand how important this is all.
The psychologist was almost ecstatic.
You will have to find evidence, things that will help us confirm all this, and I believe that you will discover who you were, who you are. You will have to somehow put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and I believe that all this will help you overcome the dreams you see and the pain you feel. I will help you with all this. This discovery will overturn your entire worldview. Do you understand how important it is?
Listen to me, Steve. I don't care. All I want is for this to end, and for me to find my balance in life again. What you do doesn't really interest me.
Okay, it makes sense and I understand you. I just want you to keep me informed of everything you discover and anything you need. Here I am.
I left the psychologist and racked my brains on how to put the pieces of the puzzle together. How would I discover who I am? The first thing I thought about was finding the place where I lived. The clue I had was a statue and a square with peacocks. I devoured the entire internet, looking at statues in cities and villages, but it seemed like a futile effort. I couldn't find a clue. Just when I was about to give up, I saw the statue on TV. I saw it by chance on a TV show that was doing a tour of Plymouth and the surrounding areas. I saw the statue, I was sure of it, and the footage from the Peacock Square on the show confirmed to me that the city I lived in was Plymouth. Without thinking about it, I grabbed some clothes, informed Steve, who was delighted, and I found myself in Plymouth. The city seemed very familiar to me, as if I had lived there a lifetime. Okay, I had found the city. Now I just had to find out who I was. I called Steve to help me with the next step. Smartly, thoughtfully, he said to me,
According to your recollection, you must have died 33 years ago, around 1990, and you were born in 1957. You could look up deaths from that period.
And that's what I did. I couldn't find anything on the internet, so I went to the Plymouth Public Library and started looking through the local newspapers from 1990 in the obituaries. I searched and searched, but I couldn't find anything that clicked with me. But what piqued my curiosity were the headlines from that time. There was a report about strange disappearances of women. Another headline in large letters read, "When will the nightmare end? A disappearance shakes our town." I read the article. Jonathan Smith, a well-known businessman in the area who is active in the alternative tourism sector, has been missing for more than 5 days. After the mysterious disappearances of women, it is now the turn of men. The authorities so far seem to be at a dead end. His family is desperate for any information that can help. When will the nightmare end? All of Plymouth is now living in the shadow of fear. And who will be next? The authorities must finally do something to become worthy of the circumstances. Put an end to it at last. So many families are waiting for an answer. A light at the end of the tunnel. The name Jonathan Smith immediately clicked with me, and the photo in the newspaper shocked me. It was like seeing myself in the mirror. I may not have looked like him, but it was like I was me. I was sure I was Jonathan. What had happened to me? How I ended up dying. Once again, I informed Steve. He was crazy with joy. The next thing I did was to find where the business was, with the logic that it would awaken other memories. Luckily, the nightmare slowly started to leave, and I felt my body coming back. Indeed, I found the place where the business was located. It was a beautiful place on the outskirts of Plymouth. The business was still in operation. It was like a ranch with activities such as horseback riding, mountain climbing, hiking, and much more. I felt like home. I got in touch with the staff and signed up for the activities that the place provided. I bought equipment, and the first thing I wanted to do for some reason was to go skiing. One of the employees got me ready and told me to wait for the instructor. From afar, I saw a girl riding a beautiful horse. The girl was like a vision. She approached me and introduced herself.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I'll be your instructor for today. Have you ridden before?
No, I replied.
Great, no problem. What I want from you is to follow my instructions, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
I feel like I've been riding for years. I rode the horse without any help. Sarah was amazed.
You didn't tell me you've never ridden before?
I awkwardly replied. I know. I guess I'm a natural talent. I immediately started to get on. I could barely hear what Sarah was saying. I felt fantastic. I was riding without knowing how to ride, at least not in this life. But my joy was spoiled by a memory that seemed to me to be riding. Then the horse went wild. I fell and got seriously hurt. This memory resulted in me getting dizzy and falling off the horse. Sarah immediately ran over to see if I was okay. Fortunately, I wasn't hurt. Maybe a little bit of my pride. Sarah got angry at me. She started talking to me sharply because I hadn't followed the instructions she had given me before. She took me to a kiosk to make sure I was okay, to break the ice a little, and to assure her that I was okay. I started asking her various questions. Tell me, Sarah, how did you choose to do something like this? I can see how much you love all this.
I liked it since I was a little kid. I probably got it from my father.
From your father?
My father built this place, and he had a crazy love for horses, but he had a serious accident that almost left him disabled. Then, as my mother told me, miraculously he got better.
You talk as if he is no longer alive.
Yes, I don't think he is.
What do you mean?
My father disappeared 33 years ago. I wasn't even born yet, and we don't know what happened to him.
I'm so sorry, I replied.
Let's go back. You can also meet my mother, who has been running this place since my father disappeared.
I agreed. She introduced me to her mother. I immediately understood that she was the woman who had killed me. That is Jonathan. That is me. She was my wife, Sarah my child. I awkwardly introduced myself to her. Jim Walker.
Helen Fryer. I heard about your accident. We apologize.
Don't worry. It was my fault. I was reckless. I didn't listen to Sarah, and so I ended up looking at the sky. You have created a wonderful place here, like an oasis. Congratulations.
Yes, it was my late husband's dream.
Sarah told me that he remains missing.
Oh boy. After all these years, I have decided that he is not alive.
I focused on a photo on the wall. Your husband was a handsome man. He stood proudly on a stately black horse.
Yes, he was. And that horse was his favorite, at least until the accident that almost left him disabled. I'll pour you a drink.
A whiskey would be just right. I've always had something of a strangeness. When I drank my drink, I liked to tap the glass with my finger, a habit that irritated many. But I just liked to hear the sound, and I did it this time too. I saw Helen focus on this movement of mine, as if I had awakened some memory in her. She said it was strange.
My husband did the same thing.
I guess I'm not the only one who has this annoying habit. I answered her with a laugh.
Will you stay at our place for a few days?
I hope so, I replied. I need them this vacation. They will help me discover myself better. He looked at me a little strangely, but he didn't seem to pay much attention to what I said. I finished my drink and left. I was determined to find out what had happened to me, how I ended up dead, and at the hands of my wife. I spent many hours at the ranch, and Sarah and I had begun to become very close. We enjoyed each other's company, but it was very strange. She was my daughter in my previous life, but I felt completely different. I had romantic feelings for Sarah. All this time I was at the ranch. Helen was watching me, and I could understand her concern. One day she said to me,
I am impressed by the way you ride a horse. It's like you've been riding for years, and you have the same style as my late husband, Jonathan. In general, you have a lot of similarities.
And is that a bad thing, Mrs. Helen? I asked her. She didn't answer me, but she said,
I know you and Sarah have become close, and I don't like it.
And she turned abruptly and left, annoyed. However, a phone call from Steve reminded me of the real reason I was there. It had been a while since I spoke to Steve. I had been avoiding him because he was pressuring me to find more evidence. And at some point, he wanted to publish the whole investigation. At that point, I forbade him from doing so. Before I didn't care, but now there was the Sarah factor. I liked her, and I didn't want all this to be known.
Look, Jim, you understand that you're telling me that you've fallen in love with your daughter. Do you understand how crazy that sounds? And our investigation? You have no idea how important it is. It will shake our world to its core. I will come to Plymouth to discuss it in person.
Steve, don't come. It's a waste of time. You won't change my mind. Where the nightmares had gone, they had reappeared. So had the pain. That made me realize I had to put an end to all this. I was going to be more aggressive with Helen. There was a big piece missing from this puzzle, and I was ready to find it. I couldn't figure it out with Helen. She wouldn't even want to see me. All she wanted as she told me was to stay away from her daughter. I wasn't going to do her any favors. I had to find out why she had killed me. I was out riding my horse, and I found myself in a secluded spot on the estate. Something was pulling me to this point. I got off the horse, and after a few meters, I spotted a metal door on the ground. It was locked with a rusty padlock that I finally managed to break. With a lot of effort, I opened the metal door. In front of me were steps. It was dark. I lit my Zippo and went down them. I found myself in a room. There I found some candles and lit them. The room was lit. The walls had a bunch of mystical symbols. I recognized them. I could read them. In the middle of the room, there was something like an altar with dried blood everywhere, and a little to the side, there was a black book that seemed to be bound with human skin. The whole thing didn't scare me. On the contrary, I felt wonderful. I took the book in my hands, and then all the memories came to me. The puzzle was finally complete. After the horse accident, I was left disabled. The doctors gave me no hope. I would never walk again. I went crazy. I decided to do anything to walk again, and that's what I did. The price was to offer him 13 souls, the souls of 12 virgin girls, and the 13th soul to be the ultimate sacrifice, the soul of my first child. As I said, I would do anything. I was ready to sacrifice even my own child. I put the book back in its place, and then the ground shook. I immediately felt a dark presence, an eerie voice. He said to me,
"Hello, my old friend. I was waiting for you. You know you still owe me the last soul. Bring it to me, or I will take yours. You owe me the fact that you are in this world again, and don't be late. Time is counting down. Tick, tock, tick, tock."
I returned to the hotel where I was staying. I knew that I didn't have much time left. I had to offer him Sarah's soul. I'll go find her, I thought.
There's no turning back. Jim wouldn't answer his phones, so he forced me to travel to Plymouth. I went to the hotel I was staying at. I asked the front desk. They told me he hadn't been to the hotel for days and that they had packed his things. They let me see them. I was really starting to worry, and I was ready to go to the police. While searching through his things, I found his diary. Terrified by what I had read, I headed to Helen's house. Helen opened the door for me. I saw a broken woman. I tried to bring it to her slowly, but it wasn't working. "I'm Jim's friend," I told her, and I found his diary. I can't believe all that happened. I know he wanted to kill Sarah. "Helen, tell me what happened. Are you all right? Where is Jim?"
We need to go to the police and tell them everything. Go.
He answered me.
I don't think anyone will believe me. It all started 33 years ago. At the time Jonathan became disabled.
Yes, I know this. I read it in his diary. I had understood that something was happening to Jim.
Something dark surrounded him. I could feel it. That was when the girls started disappearing. My instinct, as much as I didn't want to trust it, told me that he was responsible. I decided to follow him. So one night, I saw him go into a strange place, in a secluded part of the estate. I waited for him to come out, and then when he left, I would enter this place. But I saw him come out, carrying what looked like a body. I followed him and saw him throw the body into the lake from the dam. I had seen my husband transform into a monster. I was pregnant and waiting to give birth to his child. Imagine my shock, trying to get as far away as I could. I tripped. It wasn't the easiest thing. I was 8 months pregnant.
Helen,
Called out to me.
I'm glad you're here. You have something inside you that I need. I would have waited until you gave birth, but as things stand, I'll take it now.
He started running towards me. Panicking, I took out the gun I had with me, and without a second thought, I shot him. The last thing she said as she died was,
I'll find you.
with all the strength I had left, I threw his body into the lake. I didn't say anything to the police. I was scared. I didn't want my child to be left without a mother. I wanted to burn that place, but I didn't. I left it as evidence for whenever the police revealed something, it would be my extenuating factor.
And what happened to Jim?
I felt inside that there was something strange about this guy. The similarities with the damned one were many, and when I saw that he was with my daughter, I went crazy, as if I knew that day that he would come to find me. I had prepared myself and was waiting for him. Having the straight gun with which I had killed him on me, I let him enter the house. He asked where Sarah was. I had chased her away. I hadn't told her anything, just to trust me and go away, and when she came back, I would explain everything to her. Jim acted like he was crazy. I told him to go away and asked him who he was and what he wanted from us. And then I got the answer I was afraid to hear.
I think you understand who I am and what I want. I am the one you killed 33 years ago, and I will get what I need. What you deprived me of then, my child.
I don't know how it was possible, but in front of me, I saw Jonathan. Once again, like déjà vu, this monster headed towards me. And again, without a second thought, I pointed the gun at him and shot him. The bullet hit him exactly in the same spot as last time, in the right shoulder blade. Almost smiling before she died, he told me,
I will wait for your grandchild.
Helen, after what she told me, surrendered to the police, who were able to retrieve 14 bodies from the lake. The 12 souls of the girls are finally at rest. I burned the place where the altar and the book were, in the hope that this unholy cycle of reincarnation would be broken.